All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun Ryan and Dave show. Dave, you ready to go again? Do this one more time?
Yes.
All right. As you may have seen, we are kicking off a celebration 125 years in the making here at Lionel as we roll into our 125th anniversary year. I don't know about you, Dave, but I don't feel a day over 123.
Well, you look it.
I know. We were just looking at our intro and going,
Yeah.
wow, that was only 3 years ago.
And lots of gray hairs ago.
But we have a great program today. We've got a great new Vision Locomotive announcement. Before I dive into that, I did want to take just a minute. Over the last week or so, we have had a lot of emails and calls from folks around, friends, family, customers, just friends of the brand, asking how everyone was doing down here. The good news is for Lionel here in Charlotte, we got through the storm very, very well with just some minor inconveniences. But we do have a lot of friends and neighbors not very far from here who are going through a very rough time. So take this moment that keep everybody out there in your thoughts and prayers. And if at all possible, supplies are desperately needed up in Western North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, all the way down into Florida. Our hearts and pain go out to everybody who's been more impacted than us. So it's a rough time, but we will get through it. So thank you to everyone who has wished us well, and please stay with our neighbors as we get through that tough time. So on a hard shift from that, we'll swing back and talk a little bit about our new Vision Locomotive. As we enter 125 years, we've been looking at a lot of the things in Lionel's history that have made us who we are and made Lionel great. And certainly you can't talk about the story of Lionel without talking about the Hudson. It is just one of those great Lionel icons since 1937, a key piece of who we are. It's really sort of the start of where Lionel put its feet in both worlds as both a great toy train company and also proving that it could stand up on its own and make a beautiful scale model for the demanding hobbyist and high-end consumer. And it's a model we've continued up to this day. The last release of the Vision Hudson, the 700E Hudson, was in 2010. So this is a remake 15 years in the making. And we've like we've done with some of our recent remakes, we've not just reskinned it, but we've taken the extra mile here and put a few extra goodies inside and out on this locomotive. So lots of fun things to talk about today. And let's get on into it. We've got our new brochure. You see the great new Lionel 125 logo there that our creative team came up with. Really wonderful thing. You'll be seeing that all over both product and events and things. So keep up with us in our Lionel calendar, on all of our social over the year to come as we celebrate our great history and get out and meet and greet all of you and have some wonderful, fun product to show.
And just so you know, you can pull this brochure up on Lionel.com.
Yes, this will be on Lionel.com. You can also get to it through LionelStore.com. It's out there. Lots of great things to look through. So the Vision Hudson, we started off with the original 700E tooling that we had, which is based off the New York Central's J1e class. And to that, we've made quite a number of modifications to bring it up to 2025 standards.
Yeah, when we did this locomotive, the first go around in 2010 as a Vision engine, we modeled it more after the post-war Lionel, Hudson that had a few less detailing, more toy-like in some of the aspects such as the whistle detail, the shiny boilers, other items like that. And we still have that in some of the SKUs, but we've also put some effort into the tooling to add additional detailing and to make this more of a true J1e model.
Yes, what was state of the art in 1937, not so much in 2025.
Correct.
But let's talk about some of the great features that this locomotive has, Dave.
Yeah, of course. We have our standard smoke, so you have your stack and your whistle steam. But we also have one of our favorite features, which is the swinging bell. The 2010 version had that feature as well, and it's always a big hit in every engine that we put it in. It's just so cool to ring the bell and Ding dong, ding, but we've also added some new features. The force coupler, which we did for the first time with the Vision Niagara back in 2018, that is going to be in all of these engines as well. So when you go down a grade and the engine's not working as hard, you'll hear the chuffing sounds get lighter, or you're going up a grade, or you're pulling a heavier load. You'll hear it really dig in, and the chuffs will be intense. And it'll do all of that automatically. And then there's also lots of other features like the ash pan glow. There's the firebox flicker. We have our bicolor marker lights both on the front of the loco and on the back of the tender, and obviously cab light, headlight, all of those. This also has the option of a couple of different tenders.
Correct.
So you have the standard 6-wheel truck tender, and then we also have the PT tender, or the centipede. And the PT tender, the larger tender, was also introduced with the new water scoop feature back with the Vision Niagara, and this version of the Hudson will also have that feature as well. And that is where you can simulate when the locomotive goes through a water scoop at speed, like they did in the New York Central. Smoke will come out of the overflow ports on the bottom of the tender to simulate the water being filled up in the tender.
Yeah, it's a really great feature. Along with the force coupler, this is being redesigned with the kinematic drawbars. So no matter which of the tenders you have that great feature which keeps the tender and locomotive pulled closer together. Of course, you still have the wireless tether there.
Yep.
And as Dave mentioned, we are going through and really redetailing the locomotive to add a significant amount of new details, both separately applied and molded into the boiler body of this. To up the quality of the locomotive, bring it closer to our J1e, for example, that we released a few years ago. A much more modern looking tooling effect on there. So I think people will be really excited about that. And we've got quite a number of different variations, as we usually do in these catalogs, both prototypical and not so much. But whichever floats your boat, we've got things. So let's start with the first one, which of course is the 5344. This is the original locomotive number that Lionel chose, and kind of an interesting, as Hudsons go, an interesting choice in prototype, because it was one of the New York Central's favorite pets as well, and got tinkered with a lot over the years. Some of the modifications were very small and internal, and then at one point it was completely streamlined. So you've got a number of different changes in that. It was a neat piece on the New York Central. It was the last of the J1e class. And the first 700E Hudson was this as well. So for this version, you'll have all of those great features that Dave just mentioned in the Vision locomotive. One of the things we are going to keep, just to keep a little touch of the past on this, is the more of the turned brass whistle look on this one. You'll still have the whistle smoke and all that, but the whistle's a more simplified detail here to give it that little bit of Lionel charm from back in the day. Yep. If you want something that's fully more scale, and you want the more scale looking whistle, then the next SKU down here on the list would be your go-to there, and that'll have all the other same details as the 5344, just in with a scale whistle difference. When we have done Hudsons in the past, one of the big requests that we got was to do some without the class lights on the smoke box. The New York Central did away with those sometime in the 1930s, I believe, and these were removed from the Hudson. So we're going to do one SKU. Again, like the rest, it'll have all the scale details, just no class lights on the front. So it won't have those cool new bicolor lights there that we now have in our legacy locomotives, but otherwise the same. For the folks who enjoy lines west of Buffalo, or west of Cleveland, I should say, sorry, we do have the New York Central Lines version here as well. That one, like the prototype, will lack the water scoop detail on the tender. The group that were assigned out there, there were 10 or so assigned to that division, and they did not have the water scoops. They didn't have as many track pans out in those divisions. But we're also doing a more modernized version of that series as well, that will have the full PT tender on it with the 5401 the darkened side rods, the big PT tender, a big burly looking locomotive. I think that one's going to be a real big winner. So all the details that you see here on these locomotives have been matched to prototype photos wherever possible. And so we've tried to get all of those details correct for you all. We also have a variation. New York Central painted some locomotives in the late 20s, early 30s with some additional striping on the tender. So we have the 5315 here. Now that's actually a J2 number, but it's a similar locomotive with that slightly fancier yet still prototypical New York Central paint scheme. And then we get into two of our fantasy scheme locomotives, which we know everybody really likes. I've already heard a couple people ordering our pacemaker variation, the bright red paint scheme, red and gray. Neat locomotive. This would look great hauling a string of pacemaker boxcars or mixed freight. Really fun locomotive. And then we have the two-tone gray, again with the PT tender, similar to the Niagara that we started with on the VisionLine a few years back. Another really fun one. And Dave, one is probably up your alley. The Toronto, Hamilton, and Buffalo, one of your old hometown roads. They picked up a few of the J2s secondhand from the New York Central, so we've got a tribute to them in here as well with TH&B 502. So a whole host of different locomotives, and you can go in and again in the catalog see these in a little bit more detail. There is also a video online where I talk about some of the history of these individual locomotives, just a touch bit more to give you some more background on them and their differences. All of these locomotives, in addition to the features Dave mentioned, as Vision engines, they will have road number or road name specific crew talk. So you'll have that in there. For the first time, you'll have the 4-digit addressing in these Hudsons or Bluetooth control. So that's an easy option. If you want to control it nice and simple, you've got the Bluetooth option with the Bluetooth app or the universal remote, or with a flip of a switch, that becomes your 4-digit addressing if you're using the new Base 3 and Cab 3 side of things. So you can have room for more Hudsons. Yeah, which is good.
Always need more Hudsons.
You can never have too many Hudsons.
Just to name a couple other features that we added, we did reduce the engine tender distance. So the drawbar has been reduced for more closer coupling, and using the kinematic drawbar allows us to do that. So it is more prototypical. And that also, allowed us to add drop plates to all of these SKUs. And then we are using our new crew figures that we made. More realistic crew figures than we had featured in the past. So.
Yes, it's another fun detail that we've been able to incorporate. So we are beginning to take orders on these now. The deliver on these won't be until later in 2025. There's a chance you may see a few more surprises coming up in 2025 Volume 1, which is still a few months out there. But as per our usual, we like to sneak a Vision engine in here in the fall, the year before the catalog comes out, to get everybody excited and ready to go into train season as we gear up for the holidays. And I think there's no better way to do that than the Hudson. We've also had a few dealers already reach out to us today on some custom runs. So we will be working those in as well, and I'm sure you'll be hearing some more things from them. The LCCA will have a version they'll be announcing shortly, another great Lionel throwback to the classic years. And as I said, a few more good surprises to come. This is only the beginning of 125 years, but I think this is a great way to kick it all off.
Yeah, and I do think we are going to have some fun surprises for the 125th anniversary. Things such as tours of our building, more information about that will be coming out in later months, and a lot of other celebrations. So it's one of these things to stay tuned, and we're excited to see what the next year brings.
Bear hugs from Dave is something that we're considering for down the road.
No
one bear hugs from Dave.
All right, maybe.
Yeah, for a fee.
You're weird.
Do we have any questions or comments up there that Taylor, that we should try and address?
Not sure. Anyone's that I can scroll up.
Jade Green, there's some interesting ones there.
Looks like a lot of them we already covered. So.
Yeah, I think we're going good.
Nice.
So a lot of good buzz on this, which is great. A lot more fun things to come. So stay tuned here to Lionel. You can see your favorite Lionel dealer if you're already hooked on a Hudson. They can begin taking orders right now. A lot of them have already posted these things up on their websites. So encourage you all to go out and take a look and stick around. We'll be back later on with even more good news for 125. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.